Has Trump really surrendered Europe to be divided up by the other countries, Russia, maybe China? You see this law from 1977 that grants the president broad authority to regulate commerce and transactions under a declared national emergency. Oh, yeah, what was the emergency again? Fentanyl, immigrants. Y'all remember that? That emergency order cuts out Congress. So now we got the Supreme Court trying to decide whether everything is legal that he's done by executive order. So basically, the tariff situation that cut out Congress, the war situation that cut out Congress, and now we're just dependent upon the Supreme Court to decipher, to clarify what's going to happen. But the time is overdue for the decision, and Trump has already found a workaround. Certain provisions under the prior Trade Act theoretically allows the administration to continue the course and just recertify it. The other workaround is through Congress. But with only one vote to spare in the House, he knows he is way underwater in the polls, and that'll never get through. Also, with the Supreme Court factor in that the administration has pulled the charge of Maduro being a gang leader. So no Del Sol cartel ever existed. They pulled that from the charges. But I thought that's why one got him in the first place. So we'll see how that works out. But if this is so, and the Supreme Court are trying to decide whether the tariffs and things Donald Trump has done is valid upon what the administration says, and now they're backtracking in the court because they don't got no proof of it. Of course they don't. But we all know that the Supreme Court is right wing, and if they find the order to be illegal based on fraud emergency, then the whole world could sue for the tariff charges. So that's reimbursing nations. So the 30 billion deficit in October is down from the 48 billion that was recorded in September. But in my mind, I'm like, the tariffs alone won't fix the problem, as evidenced by the ISM manufacturing data and the labor statistics. They've been down for over 10 months. We done lost over 70,000 manufacturing jobs in 10 months. That was the whole point of the tariffs, to force the companies to come back to America. And that has a lot to do with the BRICS unit, because BRICS has really been messing with the US dollar. If y'all don't know, the US dollar has dropped by 20% in global value. 20%. Mainly due to BRICS. Mainly induced by the tariffs that has caused these other nations to not use the US dollar because of sanctions. Now, the BRICS unit, that means the background for their money, is backed by digital currency, backed by 40% physical gold and 60% by baskets of BRICS currencies, meaning other nations, and they've all put in equally for diversification. So nobody has more than the other country in. They all have about the same amount. See, the BRICS nations is moving towards digital transactions internally. May take a few more years, but eventually amongst BRICS nations, they will be able to buy oil. Now, the biggest superpower America has is global currency, the US dollar. About 80% of the global transactions are settled in dollars, including oil, or what they call petrodollars. Now, Venezuela has been selling oil in spite of the US sanctions at a heavy discount in alternative currencies. So that meant the US dollar is not being used. So India, China, Russia have been transacting without US dollars. The thing that allows us to have a grip on the economy over the world is not the military. It is US dollars. The largest economy in Latin America and the two largest Asian economies teamed up to create an alternative settlement mechanism to the US dollar. So when Trump took office, he stated that BRICS was dead and soon would collapse, but then it was revived by the Trump tariffs. More countries joined BRICS, and then we kidnapped Maduro. That's shaking it up even more. It's giving them even more credibility for their currency. So many people are now not afraid of Trump and the US dollar sanctions. Now, Trump's NAFTA deal killed the manufacturing even more. During his first term, the drill baby drill didn't pay off because no demand for fracking oil. It's crap oil. Our refineries don't even refine that. We have to have that heavy crude stuff from Canada, Mexico, Venezuela. So the drill baby drill didn't work. We got a bunch of that just laying around. It's like, oh, we got tons and tons of oil. Yes, we do. And nobody wants to buy it. What happens when the dollar is no longer used by half the world? You see, during the pandemic, Biden loosened sanctions on Venezuela and filled our refineries, even with the $25 million bounty on Maduro's head that Trump put in place. You see, we sanctioned them. We shot ourselves in the foot, hoping they would collapse. China, Russia, India stepped in and bought the oil and loaned them billions of dollars. And they did it with crypto and the Chinese yen. And that's the reason the US dollar has fallen 20%. One of the reasons, I should say. Now, how far will it fall when half the world stops trading in dollars? We weaponize the dollar and force these regimes to find alternative currency. Not to mention the treasury bonds that nobody wants to buy now. So that $30 trillion from $48 trillion win that Trump got is about the only thing I can hoop and holler about. But I don't see it lasting for the viable future because we have to finance a $9 trillion debt in 2026. And it is much easier to lift the sanctions than to take over a country. Look at Russia and Ukraine. The whole other half of the world is helping in Ukraine. And Trump thinks that by taking over the entire Western Hemisphere, that the other half of the world is going to let it happen. We take Greenland, that ends NATO. That ends NATO. China and Russia and India can really divide the European nations up. Who gonna help us? If the dollar falls even more, which it's sure to do, we just don't know the time frame we're looking at here. But Trump is escalating that time frame. So, relish in this moment. I know you think it's bad. Just wait till we sitting there looking at our dollars like they used to in Venezuela. Before India, China, Russia came and bailed them out, they was doing paper mache with the money out on the streets. That's how far their dollars have fallen. So Trump's mind is the quickest way to do this, because nothing I'm doing is moving fast enough. We just moved the needle a little bit, but these tariffs are no longer going to be viable for that. The world is going to work around us. Who's going to help us? I think it only gets worse from here. That's my rant for today.